Okay, hello. Welcome to another stream session. As you know, I usually connect on Fridays at this time, like around 4 o'clock UTC, to talk a little bit about WordPress development, especially focused on blog development. And today I want to talk a little bit about what's new for developers, and especially about the Interactivity API. So what I plan to do today is to review the dev notes that have been published about the Interactivity API. And test some of the code in some projects we can create right now. And yeah, just try to understand. I haven't checked this yet, so I'm going to discover this at the same time than you. Let's see how it goes. And the idea is that we together discover these new features for the Interactivity API that are coming in WordPress 6.9, which is going to be released in December. I don't know exactly the date. I think it's the 4th. Let me see. In Make WordPress Core, we should have here somewhere or what we can do is to say WordPress 6.9 release. Yeah, this is the post I was looking for. This is the WordPress 6.9 development cycle and is planned to be released on the 2nd of December. Hey Troy, hi, how you doing? Yeah, December 2nd. Thank you for the tip. So yeah, hey, so we are going to review the Interactivity API. Let's see what we can find here. So let's start by checking the dev notes. There are two dev notes actually related to the Interactivity API. One of them is focused on the Interactivity API engine, and the other one is about the Interactivity API, Interactivity router. So yeah, first thing to clarify is that there are two packages related to the Interactivity API. And if we go to Gutenberg and we go to packages and we go to look for Interactivity, here we have the two packages. One of them, the Interactivity package, is the one that manages the directives. I don't know if you are familiar with the Interactivity API, but in the block editor, in the block editor handbook, I'm going to share here the link in the chat. If I am, here's the documentation about the Interactivity API. There's one image that I like a lot, and it's in the API reference. So this is the Interactivity API. Let me see if I can open the image. So yeah, this is ladies and gentlemen, here you have the Interactivity API. So it's this whole idea of having an inner state and having elements in the HTML reacting to that state, and that state can be a global state that can be shared by different blocks. We can have a local state that is only available for a specific piece of the DOM, so we can repeat different pieces of the DOM. Each one of them will have its own local state, and then we have derived state, which are properties which value are calculated from values in the other states, like in local state or in the global state. And the cool thing about the Interactivity API is that the HTML reacts to any change we get in the variables of the state. And there are a lot of directives. You can see them here. These are the directives. So yeah, this is more or less the idea, like very summarized. I invite you to check the documentation here. So yeah, that's one idea, that there are two packages being worked regarding the Interactivity API. The first one is about the directives. The other one, the router, is to manage client-side navigation, which is this idea of creating a WordPress site that behaves as an SPA, as a single page application. The idea is that we can navigate, we have control over the navigation without provoking any reload of the page. And that's really cool. We can create really cool effects because the navigation is faster, but also we can control the elements that we want to change and which ones we don't want to change. For example, if we, who is that? If we play trailer here, this is running right now. Okay, so the nice thing is that we can navigate. You can see, we lost this. Yeah, I think that this app needs some review, but you get the idea, right? We can go to play trailer, and then in theory, no, this is broken. But the idea is that we can play the video and we can continue navigating. So imagine an audio player where we can play some songs and we can navigate while the player continues reproducing whatever we are playing without any interruptions and some other effects. And also it's faster because we only reload the portion of the page we want. So yeah, we can create really cool effects. And at the end, the idea is that with the Interactivity API, we can emulate the same behaviors we can get with other frameworks such as Next.js or any other JavaScript frameworks, with the addition that all of that will work in a block paradigm, because the block paradigm is another really cool thing. That means that we can generate any type of content with blocks. So this is a really cool thing behind Interactivity API, that it provides all these modern, I'm quoting modern behaviors, but yeah, modern behaviors that we can get with other framework within the block paradigm. So yeah, that's the cool thing about the Interactivity API. Yeah. So well, this is an introduction. Okay, so let's go to the thing. Changes to the Interactivity API in WordPress 6.9. So we have a standardized API to set unique IDs in directives. Okay, HTML does not allow multiple attributes. Okay, I read about this the other day, but I think there was something similar already for this. Yeah, I think this was already available with the Interactivity API. So data.watch -- unique ID. Okay, what's different? Okay, so this needs to be changed. Okay, what has changed here? HTML does not allow multiple attributes with the same name on a single element, yet multiple plugins may need to add directives of the same type to the same element, okay? To address this, WordPress 6.9 introduces a standardized way to assign unique IDs to Interactivity API directives, allowing an element to have multiple directives of the same type as long as each directive has a different ID. To assign a unique ID to a directive, append a triple dash followed by the ID, as shown in the following example. Okay. What? Okay, let me unique ID. Yeah, this was available before. Init log, init focus. What's different is that now it uses maybe a different syntax. To assign a unique ID to a directive, append a triple dash followed by the ID as shown in the following example. Okay, the triple dash syntax unambiguously differentiates. Okay, let's read the issue for more information about this. Okay, adds official support for unique IDs Interactivity API. This is the same that was in the dev note. New parsing logic that recognizes the triple dash and differentiates it from regular suffixes. Okay, so now there is like the idea of suffix, directive suffix. Okay. My conclusion to this is that to completely differentiate, make a difference between these and the IDs, because previously we had this, that will be init log, but also we had the on window resize. So yeah, I think it's more clear, like double hash for the event, triple hash for the ID. Yeah, I think double dash. Yeah, double dash event on window resize and triple dash ID. So yeah, I think this is not completely new. What's new is the specific syntax. That's my understanding of this. Okay. Another new thing, deprecated data WP ignore directive. I have never used this. So the data WP ignore directive was designed to prevent hydration of a specific part of an interactive region. However, its implementation broke context inheritance and caused potential issues with the client-side navigation feature of the WordPress interactivity router module without a real use case. Okay, so deprecated, haven't used this before, so I won't have an issue with this. What we can do also is to help test. Let's see if there are some tests for the Interactivity API. For the Interactivity API, here we have some updates. Okay, Interactivity API improvements support new styles and script modules on client-side navigation. So let's check. IAPI routers support new styles and script modules on client-side navigation. This PR updates the current Interactivity API's client-side navigation feature, addressing the following items. The Style Assets Manager introduced previously in issue blah and removed in the PR has been implemented. It replaces the document with another based on new style and link. The new script module manager has been included, supporting multiple import maps from different pages. Okay, what I think this has to do, okay, the Interactivity API's router has been adapted to support full page client-side navigation while sharing most of the logic used by the region-based navigation feature. Okay. Style Sheet Manager. This piece is necessary to update the applied style sheets after a client-side navigation. New pages, even when navigating between pages with the same template, can have different style sheets as they can contain different blocks. The previous approach was based on the document adapted Style Sheets API, which requires constructed this. However, for third-party style sheets without the appropriate course configuration, these instances were impossible to create as the CSS code is unreadable. A script module manager. As new modules may appear, not only should their style sheets be handled, but also their script modules when they are interactive. These pages can contain different import maps, as new interactive blocks could have different dependencies than those on the initial page. Okay, this needs to be addressed. Okay, these are the technical details. Okay, what I understand for this is that with client-side navigation, this is okay, before I forget, there's this developer hours happening next week on the 27th of November. Jonathan Bossinger and we are going to host this developer hours session, and we will talk about the Interactivity API and block bindings. We did a similar session WordPress.tv. WordPress.tv. We did a similar session a few weeks ago that was focused on data views, and data form, and the abilities API. This is taking too long. Okay, I can show you later. I think I'm going to save this just in case, although I think and what I'm going to do is to reset the canvas, clear the whole canvas. Okay. We have here a web page. And here we can specify, I think, actually several areas that are and here I'm going to stroke width, background is going to be this. Okay. So this is the page A. And we navigate to page B. Oh my God. Okay, go away. We navigate to page B. And the only thing that changes is this. Goes from this to this. The rest remains the same. But this is a portion of the HTML that can include several blocks. It can have one block here. It can have another block here. But this new page can have different blocks like here and this. Okay, the thing is that if this block is an interactive block, Interactivity API block, which means that has its own JS modules, can have its own JS modules. So what this pull request is enabling is that this works. That whenever I hydrate a portion of the HTML with new content using client-side navigation, if that portion includes a block that is an interactive block, and because of that it loads some JS modules. That's why the import map here. Import map here. Import map, yeah. So this is going to work now. I guess that before this pull request, you could have client-side navigation, but that client-side navigation couldn't include interactive blocks using Interactivity API, and now they are enabled in this client-side navigation. And also, if they have custom CSS, those styles will also be properly loaded because of this style assets manager. Yeah. So this is related to client-side navigation. So by the way, I don't think there is too much documentation about that. Let's check this. I think the only documentation we have, it's in the Interactivity router. And so the package WordPress Interactivity API router enables loading content from other pages without a full page reload. Currently, the only supported mode is region-based. Do you know what? I think there is an example here in the blog development examples. Do you know this repository? I'm going to share this in the chat. If you don't know this repository, I think it's a very good resource. And there's actually Explorer. This is a repository of examples to showcase blog development APIs and techniques. And you can look for examples here using this interface. And I added this interactivity router example some time ago. And each example has a live demo. So let's refresh a little bit. So we have this. And as you can see, this text doesn't change. If we go back to our example, this let me put this here, and then this we can put it here. So the blue area is this text. It doesn't change, and the green area is this, the yellow and the green area. As you can see, this changes, but this text doesn't change. And also with the client-side navigation, we have control over the URLs. So if you can see here, I'm changing, but I'm controlling the whole navigation with the client-side navigation. I have control over the areas that are reloaded. Also, I have control over the URLs. And here we can see block region in display attributes. So this is a block that is being displayed here. And the region has this specific URL. So it contains which one is the next, which one is the previous. So the block is all this thing. We can actually have a look at the code. If we go to the SRC, and if we go, very important, to the HTML that is being so we have here, this is the block interactivity router. Or we can actually check if we go to is this in, we can go to posts. So this is the block, this is the interactivity router block. And I have this here, next and previous links. And if we check the code, we have next. Okay, let me see the. Here we have these attributes that are updated, and then these attributes, if we go to, I think it's in the view. Here we import dynamically the WordPress interactivity router. State URL region display. This is a state variable that we assign to the eTarget href to the current URL. And then we navigate using the client-side navigation using the internal methods. And from there, the navigation is controlled by the client-side navigation. So if we go to the HTML, well, we can check the render. And here we have for each block, yeah, we have all of these. All of these. Is this an inner block? Let me see. There is a save. There are inner blocks. I guess the inner block here is this. Yes, interactivity router columns. And this is the inner blocks. And then I wrap all of that into, this is saved. So internally we have the inner blocks. And then at some point I should display here the content. So this is the inner blocks, but I wrap all of that into this. So displaying region from, and here I display the URL region display, which is taken from the URL in the browser. Then I display the inner blocks, and then here's the interesting part, because here the navigation is controlled by the client-side navigation. So we check if there is, so I have two attributes, prep and next. With the prep, so if there is no prep, this link, it won't be displayed, and the same thing with the next. So I'm controlling that somehow. I don't remember how. How do I control that? Yeah, I think because yeah, okay. So here's the thing. I have 4 pages. Each one has a URL. George Harrison, John Lennon. So when I go use action navigate, and the action navigate, it navigates using the client-side router, what it does is that it fetches internally the target destination, and it reloads only the portion managed by the client-side navigation. And the thing is that each one of these posts and each implementation of this block has different attributes. For example, John Lennon has next and have prep. But if we go to George Harrison and then we check the code, has next and prep. So I guess Paul McCartney only has next, and Ringo Starr only has prep. So yeah, this is how we can implement client-side navigation. Now this has evolved. I need more examples, but this is an example. Let me say this again. In the blog development examples, I have shared the link in the chat, but if not, you can just look for blog development examples in the WordPress organization. You have a bunch of examples about blog development. One of the examples, and actually we have this link here, which is Explorer of examples. I want to add more examples because I have some more examples over there. But if you click this tag, you have here a bunch of examples of the Interactivity API, and specifically about the Interactivity router with these regions. So when we navigate, only the regions are updated. Cool. So given this reminder. I wanted to show before the previous developer hours that the newest. Yeah, this is the one I was referring to. I'm going to share this in the chat. Paste. There you go. So a few weeks ago, Jonathan Bossenger and I, we hosted a developer hours focused on what's new for developers in WordPress 6.9. The topics we covered a few weeks ago were directives, data form, and abilities API. And the next one that is going to be next week is this one. Let me share the link in the chat. Paste. The next one, which is going to be next Thursday, is about block bindings and interactivity API. So yeah, if you wanna join us, we'll be talking about this. There will be a space for questions. So take note of that. Okay, let's continue reviewing the dev note. So we have reviewed, there's a standardized way to set unique IDs. The thing is that with 2 hyphens, we can set the event. With 3 dashes, we can set the ID. We have this deprecated, and now the WordPress 6.9 introduces 2 new TypeScript helper types: async action, return type, and type yield to Interactivity API. These types help developers address potential TypeScript issues when working with asynchronous actions. Okay. Async action, return type. This helper lets the developer explicitly type the return value of an asynchronous action generator. For example, if we go to the block development examples, and we go to the Interactivity API, so here, for example, let me see. Yeah. Okay, by using any for yielded values, we can add here and here. It breaks circular type dependencies when a state is used within yield expressions or in the final value. For more information on examples, this is an interesting topic: Interactivity API using TypeScript. I need to check this more in depth. Okay, so nothing super impactful, I would say, regarding Interactivity API in WordPress 6.9. A new way to set IDs, a deprecated directive, and new types. But I don't know how many people is working with TypeScript and the Interactivity API, so not sure about the impact of this. But what about the client-side navigation improvement? So in WordPress 6.9, the client-side navigation feature provided by the WordPress Interactivity Router module has been expanded to cover additional use cases that were previously unsupported. Okay. Support for new scripts, modules, and style sheets. Yeah, this is the thing that was here. And how we could test this? So this update enhances Interactivity API client-side navigation with a new style sheet manager and script module manager supporting multiple import maps. And restart full page navigation sharing logic with region-based tab. It also fixes missing styles during navigation between pages with different blocks. Okay. Let's test this. In the site editor, go to the home template. I'm going to test this with playground.wordpress.net, and I'm going to make sure that I have the latest version here, like nightly. Okay, not nightly, the RC2, which shouldn't change much for the final version. Okay, we have now 6.9. In the site editor, go to home template. So let's go to in the site editor, go to the home template. Okay, so we need to go to templates, and now we need to go to the home template, block home. Ensure the force page reload setting is disabled in the query block. So if we come here, query, ensure the force page reload setting is disabled in the query block. Okay, anyone knows how to do this? How do we change this? Ensure the force page reload setting is disabled in the query block. Force page reload. Query type. Advanced. Okay. I think reload full page. Force page reload is this. Ensure the force page reload. I think this is it, but if anyone can confirm this. Add an image block inside the post. Okay, so go to the home template, ensure the force page reload setting is disabled in the query block. Done. Add an image block inside the post template. So we are touching two templates, the home template and the post template. And I need to add an image block. Change its style and make the image rounded. Okay. Visit a page of the home that doesn't exist. for example, page 2, so it shows no results block. Click on the previous page link. Images should appear rounded. Okay, let's try this. Reload full page. Then we are going to go to the post template. We're going to go to the post template. Single posts. Add an image block inside the post template. Anywhere, I guess. So I'm going to add here add after image upload and here we have some images, so I can maybe this one. And it says change its style and make the image rounded. So I'm going to come here, aspect ratio, border and shadow. Nice. Nice. Save. Visit a page of the home that doesn't exist. For example, page 2. So we can come here, visit site, page 2. Okay, page not found. So it shows the no results block. Click on the previous page link. Okay. I don't know exactly how to test this. Interactivity API iterations for WordPress 6.9. Let's continue. Okay, we can test more things. Let's continue with the... Let's continue reading the... the dev notes, and then we can close this, we can close this, we can close this. This is the test. We can leave it for now. Make WordPress core. Interactivity API. Okay, we have already reviewed this, and let's focus on this. Okay, previously only the HTML of the new page was updated, keeping the styles present the initial page and ignoring any new script modules. This worked for basic client-side navigation cases, but it didn't handle more complex situations, such as when new blocks appear on the next page. Okay. With this update, WordPress now replaces style sheets and loads any script modules after client-side navigation. Okay, understood. But we need an example for this, and this is going to take some time. So let's go to the next thing. Support for router regions. Well, a reminder that we are going to host this event, and I'm going to actually cover the Interactivity API. So next week I will be working on getting some examples to showcase this. Support for router regions inside interactive elements. Router regions are those elements marked with the data WP router region directive. When the navigate action from WordPress Interactivity router is invoked, the content of these regions is updated to match the newly requested page. Okay. In previous WordPress versions, router regions needed to match a root interactive element. For example, one of the topmost elements with a data WP interactive directive. This meant that if the data WP router region directive was used anywhere else in an interactive region, its content wouldn't be updated. Now, router regions are updated whenever they are placed in an interactive region. The only requirement is that they must still be used alongside the data WP interactive directive, so they receive the corresponding namespace. Okay, support for router regions inside interactive elements. So let's check the example we have. Here I have the dev notes. Okay. If we go to the render, yeah, I think this is the thing. So previously to this change, so we have data WP interactive example, and then the div. Okay, so we need to duplicate. We need to generate one top data WP interactive, but also data WP router region. So for example, if we wanted to just update this area, we would need to add these two, keep this one here, but also copy and paste these two ones here. I wonder this would work the same, but here I guess that, okay, let's try this. Let's try this. The cool thing about this is that I can download this I can open this in cursor. This is the code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Studio. I'm going to go to Studio here, to the streams. And I'm going to open iTerm. And for the content plugins, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to link the plugin that right now I have in the desktop. So now I have the interactivity router in the plugins. If I go to the admin, and we have here this one. Now we have this block, but we need to create the content to test this. The content to test this is the one we have at the blog development examples. So let's okay, here we have all the I'm going to download this file to the desktop, and then in my WordPress installation I'm going to import this content. Going to import the content, run importer, choose a file, desktop, export. Import everything, submit. Okay. We have George Harrison, we have Paul McCartney. And also we have these blocks that are interactivity project. Okay. And what else we're going to do? We are going to install here the dependencies for the blog. And also we are going to launch the start, because what I want to test is the new thing. So what I want to test is that we can, so this one is fine because the state variables belong to the Vue.js, but these attributes belong to each. Well, we can try different things. For example, let's start by trying this. Let's start by trying this. We have the class, we have the data WP interactive, we have WP router region, and we are going to remove this here. So before 6.9, we needed to have data WP router region as a top DOM element, but now we can use it from the inside. Okay, let's see what happens here. Okay, it seems it's working. Let me check if I'm going to a core console log Vue.js. Okay, so we have our new code in place. And it works. And it works. And if I remove this, it shouldn't work. It works as well. Okay, it works. It works because maybe I'm reloading the whole page. So let me, what we can do is to preserve the log, and I can also add here a timestamp. I can do something like, yeah, something like that. Okay, it works, but I am losing. No, it's not really working. It's not really working. Let me reinstate this and see what happens now. Go to pref. No. I think it's because we need to wrap all of this into a div. So let's do that. I need to wrap all of this. I'm wrapping everything in this, and now my wrapped area, it goes from here to here, and it includes everything. And now it's working as before. Having look how we are only loading the page 1. We are not reloading the page because the Vue.js is not being reloaded, and how the navigation still works having an inner section for the data WP router region. So this works as expected. New attach to option for router regions. In WordPress 6.9, router regions accept an attach to property that can be defined inside the data WP router region directive. Allowing the region to be rendered even when it was missing on the initial page. This option supports cases like overlays that are necessary for a block, but may appear outside all the regions. The attach to property should be a valid CSS selector that points to the parent element where the new router region should be rendered. For example, the following router region would be rendered in body if it appears on a visited page, even if it wasn't initially rendered. I need to get examples for this. So, improved get server state and get server context functions. When using the Interactivity API with client-side navigation, the get server state and get server context functions now properly handle the following scenarios. Properties that are modified on the client but should reset to server values on navigation. The get server state and get server context functions now properly handle the following scenarios. Properties that are modified on the client but should reset to server values on navigation. Now whenever get server state or get server context is tracking a value that doesn't change after a client-side navigation, it will still trigger an invalidation so that it can be used to reset values. Get server state. Okay, let's learn about this. Get server state. If we go to the block editor, this is documented. Get server state. Okay, get server state here. Get server state allows you to subscribe to changes in the global state. Allows you to subscribe to changes in the global state that occur during client-side navigation. This function is analogous to get server context, but it works with the global state instead of the local context. The get server state function returns a read-only reactive object. This means that any callbacks you have defined that watch the return object will only trigger when the value returned by the function changes. If the value remains the same, the callback will not retrigger. Okay, let's consider a quiz that has multiple questions. Get server state. I actually have a quiz example in the blog development examples. Interactivity API, the quiz, and here. So we are not using this here. Let's consider a quiz that has multiple questions. Each question is a separate page. Okay. When the user navigates to a new question, the server provides the new question and the time left to answer all questions. Because we set this from the render PHP, for example. So we have interactivity state. Maybe we can try this in our example. Okay, data interactivity router. And we can do this. Get question. For page, get the ID. Okay. We need get random question. Get random question. And maybe we can do here function, get random question, for example. Okay. Okay. Echo, maybe I can add here a WP, something like this. Okay. And now if we go to we come here. There has been a critical error on the website. Yeah, we have added something. Get random question, Brand. And it's because of this. Okay. Yes, this is it. I'm going to So this is fine, this is fine. I'm going to remove this and to remove this. And now if we reload the page, now it works. Because we have no, it was fine. Okay. And if we come here, we should see somewhere here array. This is empty. Because of this. Okay, I should have here this array. Well, this is not really an array. This is interactivity state. Interactivity state. Populates the initial global state values. I think this is something I do here. Okay, let me check other examples. If we go to block development examples, we come here. Add the global state for this block. Okay. And it creates a JSON somewhere. If we look for this, the script, this is script module. This is the actual div. This is another area. Another area, an image, and here we are. Okay, this is the global state in the form of a JSON. So if we do random question here, question 33, question, okay. So this is working. Now what we wanted to test is actually we want to test this. The server provides the new question and the time left to answer all the questions. So we navigate to each question, in our case to each beetle, that's fine. This callback will be triggered by a directive, like okay, we can try this. We can try this and see what happens. Inside this region, I'm just going to do this callbacks update question, and in the Vue.js, what I'm going to do is callbacks update question. But what I want to check is const server get server state. Update with the new value coming from the so if I do this, I'm going to see this state question, and then here what I can do is question. Okay, this should work. It's not working well. Let me put this. Well, but this okay, because I need to import get server state from here. Okay. Let's start again. Let's try this. Nice, nice. So we can update each region with values that come from the server. What happened here? If I go to sort, cannot redeclare. Okay, because I'm redeclaring. I cannot redeclare a function. Okay. I understand. So, okay, I don't need this. What I can do directly is this. It gets locked 4 times. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, this was expected here. Ref. Nice. Okay, so I like this example. I'm going to close this. So get server context allows you to subscribe to changes in the local context that occur during client-side navigation. This function is analogous to get server state, but it works with the local context. The get server context function returns a read-only reactive object. Consider a quiz that has multiple questions. Each question is a separate page. When the user navigates to a new question, the server provides the new question and the time left to answer all the questions. But it provides that as local context instead of global context. Current question, get question for page blah blah blah. So for get the ID for each page, we have a specific question. And again, we can do the same, but with local context. So, okay, now that we understand better this, improved get server state and get server context functions. When using the Interactivity API with client-side navigation, the get server state and get server context functions now properly handle the following scenarios. Properties that are modified on the client, but should reset to server values on navigation. Now, whenever get server state or get server context is tracking a value that doesn't change after a client-side navigation, it will still trigger an invalidation. So it can be used to reset values. So we can state counter, server state counter reset to 0. Okay, properties that only exist on certain pages. Server state and contexts are now fully overwritten. Only the properties present on the current page are retained. Only the properties present on the current page are retained, and those from previous pages are removed. This allows having the certainty of knowing if a property doesn't exist in the server state, even if it was present on the previous page. Okay, we need better examples here. Additionally, this function now includes proper type definitions and error messages in the book mode. Okay, I think I got a better feeling of what these improvements are about, but I need to create better examples. So stay tuned, because next Thursday we will talk about these new things coming, about the block bindings and about the Interactivity API. And yeah, I will work on having better examples, because the ones that are in the dev notes are not really good. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to finish the session. Hope you all have a great weekend, and hopefully see you next Thursday on the developer hours session. If not, on Friday I will connect again to review some more things about WordPress development and blog development. Okay, so yeah, have a good weekend. Bye.